Pokemon, the first movie, I have very fond memories of. Mewtwo was my favorite Pokemon, and probably my top 6 favorite Pokemon of all time are probably still from Gen 1. Let's see if I can name them off. We got Mewtwo in first place, followed by Charizard, followed up by Gengar, followed by Alakazam, followed by Snorlax, followed by Blastoise. Yep, there it is. Gen 1 Pokemons. Those are my top 6. Those are my top 6 favorite Pokemons of all time. And of course, maybe Tyranitar would be in the top 10. And Metagross would be in the top 10. So we got some Pokemons from Gens 2 and 3 in there, but nothing in the top 6. This Gen 1 just rules there. It just came out swinging. Alakazam's such a great design. I love that design. Gengar is just one of the greatest Pokemons ever. And then Mewtwo. Mewtwo is the coolest Pokemon ever. And I absolutely adored this movie when I first watched it. This is my first movie, and it is their first movie, obviously. I was a Gen 1er. I was a child of the 90s. And as a child of the 90s, I picked up Pokemon Red version. This is the original Red version I picked up from a Toys R Us a very, very, very long time ago. It's crazy how long ago that was, but I have such fond memories of the first 3 generations of Pokemon. And while I do have a love-hate relationship with Gen 3, Gen 3's hate relationship is mostly from collecting-wise. That damn Feebas, I despise that fish. I despise what they did there. They should have made it a whole lot easier to collect that fish. Maybe make it a casino prize, like Porygon was. Just make it easier somehow to collect that fish, because I despise it. Maybe make those 6 fishing spots the only way to catch your shiny Feebas. I never cared about any of that shiny crap. I just didn't have the patience. Clearly, I didn't even have the patience to catch a friggin' fish. But my patience to at least play the story, I had that in spades, because I played the story. I played it again. I played it again. I played it again. I love the story of Pokemon's, the first 3. I also loved the story in Black and White. I watched a playthrough of that. I never actually got to play Gens 4 and 5 because of the Nintendo DS. I've already ranted about that, and if I rant again about Nintendo, I would be here for 30 minutes just ranting, going off rails about how I despise the DS, how I despise the N64, how I despise the Wii U, and how I hate how the Nintendo Switch has the joysticks in opposite positions. One's on the top on the left side, one's on the bottom on the right side. They should both be on the bottom or both be on the top. Don't put them in different positions. And I could rant about that, but maybe I'll save that for another rant video, because that's a pretty windy rant. It's a pretty windy one. But to keep that rant short, because I didn't like the dual screens on the DS, I did not upgrade to Gen 4 or Gen 5. I did not continue my Pokemon adventures. I did not continue my Pokemon journeys, because I didn't want to play on dual screens. I didn't want a stylus. I didn't want a touchpad. I didn't want to do any of that crap. I just wanted a screen and some buttons that were similar to the Game Boy Advance. Just play it like a Game Boy Advance, but with better hardware, to play better looking games. That's all I wanted in a handheld. I didn't want any of that fancy finagling crap. I was already an old man when I was a kid, apparently. But yeah, I didn't care for the dual screen, so I didn't get to play Gens 4 and 5. 5 had a very good story. I watched an entire playthrough of that, and if they ever made a Nintendo Game Boy Advance 2 in an alternate reality, like a Super Game Boy Advance or something, maybe, in an alternate reality where instead of the DS, we got the Super Game Boy Advance, which is just a Game Boy Advance, but with better hardware to play better games, and the Pokemon Black and White came out on that thing, and I was in that universe, and I played that handheld, I probably would have loved the heck out of Black and White. I probably would have been my favorite gen outside of Gen 2. That probably would have been me in an alternate reality where Nintendo decided not to be weird with their stuff and when just decided to just make good games and keep the hardware, the controllers looking the same. Because it's just this, I don't understand the gimmicks. But I can't go off topic. I don't want to go off topic here. Can't go off topic. Pokemon the first movie. This is the tape. This is the tape. I have it on DVD too, but I just wanted to pull out the tape just to feel nostalgic about it. You know, this tape has the Pokemon special, the never before seen Pokemon footage. See back for details. It's got Pikachu's Vacation special. I don't know if Pikachu's Vacation or any of those other Pikachu shorts that were also in the following movies, Pokemon 2000 and Pokemon 3 the movie, and I think there's also one in Pokemon Forever. There were a bunch of Pikachu shorts. Like if you got the tape version, they would have a little Pikachu short before the movie began. That's how they were able to make the runtime like feature length, is they added that short in. The actual movie was more like 70 minutes maybe, but then they added a 15 to 20 minute short in there, so it became a 90-minute tape. Yeah, but I liked Pikachu's Vacation a whole lot. And it had one of those cool little pop songs, you know, back in the day in the early eras of Pokemon, where they had these little Pokemon pop songs, where they had a bunch of pop singers and just making Pokemon songs, you know. They did a bunch of that in Japan, but then they made English versions, tons of them. I still have a CD from when I was a kid called Totally Pokemon, which is the Johto Gen 2 era anime of Pokemon, with all those pop songs they made. Sadly, it doesn't have the Team Rocket song on there. It's got the Pokemon Johto theme on there, though. It's got Brock's song about liking Nurse Jenny and Officer Joy, or is it Nurse Joy and Officer Jenny? That's it. Nurse Joy and Officer Jenny. Just Brock being a whole Brock being Brock. He was Sanji before Sanji was a thing. I have such fond memories for it. You know, I just have fond memories of all the music and the songs, even though it's kind of cheesy today. Some of it's still pretty good. A lot of it's still pretty good. You can probably find a bunch of these songs on YouTube, or maybe even your new fanangled Spotify that the kids use these days. I just look it up on YouTube. Pokemon, the first movie, I think I saw this in theaters. I'm not too sure. I know I saw Pokemon 2000 in theaters, like day one. I was there day one. I may have caught Pokemon the first movie on cable, but I can't remember. It's just my memory's very fuzzy from that era. It was just a very long time ago. Clearly, it's like 26, 27 years ago. Come on, you can't expect me to remember this. I remember Pokemon 2000 because I remember meeting a friend there. It was just a happenstance, you know. I never planned that. You know. I was just at the theater. And sitting right next to me was this friend that I had in school, in elementary school, and I was like, "Holy crap!" that was a coincidence. Sitting right next to me and all that. That was weird. But that's why I remember the Pokemon 2001. This one. What I loved most about Mewtwo is Mewtwo. Mewtwo Strikes Back and all that stuff. It's his story. It's very tragic and very, very sympathetic. It's just something that I still connected to this day, many, many years later. And as a Final Fantasy fan, I played Final Fantasy VII years after I'd watched Pokemon the first movie. But then, while I was playing through Gen 1 again and watching this for the umpteenth time after playing Final Fantasy VII, I realized just how many similarities Sephiroth and Mewtwo have. And there's a scene where, like, Sephiroth, the big iconic scene where he's standing in front of the burning Nibelheim, and he turns around, looks at you, or whatever. And then it's a very similar scene as in here with Mewtwo standing in front of the burning laboratory. And it just made me think of Sephiroth. It made me the way they were created, just very similar ideas, very similar. And I think Final Fantasy VII was a 9. It was in production around 96 to 97. Or is it 95? Either way. This was in production around 95-ish. Around the same time. So maybe there could have been some cross-leaking information. And maybe they just made a little Easter egg for Mewtwo in relation to Sephiroth. Maybe. I'm not exactly entirely too confirmatorial about that. It's just something I think about. Mew is a very cute little character. I never really gravitated towards Mew as much as I did towards Mewtwo. Mewtwo actually had a story. He actually talked and all that stuff. He's got... When Pokemon talk, they're a little bit more relatable. You know, you can actually... we talk. We can actually relate to people who can talk. We may relate to Pokemon as the little pets and stuff like that, because when they don't talk. So Meowth and Mewtwo are obviously Pokemon that we related to a little bit more than the other ones here. This one's more like a little cat that could fly, a little psychic cat, get a little friggin' whatever. Everybody thought, oh, look at me, dude, Mew's cute and all that stuff. And I do have a Mew in here. I have a Mew in here, if the save file still works. The last time I tried it last year, I booted it up, the save file still works. So maybe it still works today. I haven't turned it on since then. But Mew would probably be my top 10. Mewtwo is my top 1, complete. Because, you know, when I was a kid, if you wanted to be one of my favorite Pokemons, all you had to do was be cool. Look cool. I was all about cool. Cute? No, thanks. Cute. If you're cute and weak, I ain't got no time for you. I got no time for Togepi. Togepi is a weakling. Mewtwo, though, he's got super high special attack. He's the highest in the entire game. So, of course, he's the coolest and all that good stuff. Charizard looked like a friggin' dragon, of course he'd be. And Blastoise has little cannons on his shell, of course that's cool. Alakazam and Gengar, just cool looking things, and Snorlax is just awesome. But yeah, this is just a very fond little memory, a little fond, little nostalgic thing that I will never, ever get rid of. Nonetheless, Pokemon Red version starts selling for like $1 million, and I could get $1 million for that. Maybe then, but it's not that expensive, not that valuable yet. So I'll be keeping hold of this for a long time yet, for a good while. The memories that I have for Pokemon Mewtwo is mostly connected to Mewtwo's story. And how he was grown in a tube. He tried to create the strongest Pokemon ever made, but they mistreated him. And then he had a skewed view of humanity, and it took him to look at the bond that Ash held with Pikachu to reevaluate humanity and all that stuff. It's just a great idea. It's just a great story. It's a great movie, man. I like it more than Pokemon 2000. I like it more than Pokemon 3. I like it more than Forever. I like it more than the Latios and Latias movie. I like it more than all of them. You know, I've only seen 9 Pokemon movies. I have 9 Pokemon movies. I have the first 8. And then I have the Genesect movie because I saw Mewtwo in there. So obviously I picked that up because of Mewtwo. But it's not the same Mewtwo, so that pissed me off. It really pissed me off. I think there should only have ever been one Mewtwo. There should not have been a second Mewtwo, because that was apparently a second Mewtwo. There should have only ever been one. Only one Mewtwo, please. And thank you. But it is what it is, I guess. But of the 9 that I've watched, Pokemon the first movie will always be the best one.